Hi guys, my name is Dr. Katie Saint and this video is on emotions and that they're actually okay and we should stop fighting them. Which maybe that sounds crazy to you, but when we fight our emotions and we try to stuff them, it actually increases the duration and the intensity of them. So research has proven that it's not possible to get rid of our emotions. I know I've had moments like that where I'm like, oh, like I wish I had a switch that I could just shut off my emotions and then it'd be so much easier to make a good choice. So, have you guys ever had experiences like that? If you're with a parent or a therapist or a friend right now listening to this video, I'd like you to go ahead and pause it and just talk together about if you've ever experienced that where you were mad at yourself for feeling a certain way or wished that, man, if I just didn't feel this, it'd be so much easier. Go ahead and talk about what your biggest triggers are. What are the kind of situations that cause a really big emotional reaction out of you that makes it hard to make the right choice? So go ahead and pause and then come on back. All right, I hope you had a good discussion. So I want to talk through the purpose of emotions because each emotion serves a purpose. So happiness is what we all want to be all the time, but the reality is we wouldn't be happy all the time if that's the only emotion we felt, as odd as that sounds. So let's start with mad. So the purpose of mad is to tell our bodies that something wasn't okay. And so sometimes when we're mad, it's valid and this is helpful. It motivates us to take action and fix something. But sometimes we get mad when we shouldn't. And so that's why we always need to take a breath, pause and think about, okay, I'm mad right now. It's okay that I'm mad, but I need to decide what sort of choice I need to make. Do I need to take action? Do I need to tell someone their behavior wasn't okay? Or maybe someone took something from you and you need to go get it back. So you need to evaluate the situation before you take action. But anger in and of itself is not a bad thing. It tells you something's wrong. So let's look at anxiety. Anxiety does not feel good. I hate feeling anxious. But the thing about anxiety is it motivates us, it protects us, it tells us, hey, something bad might happen. So it's a really useful emotion. And there's actually research on if you don't have any anxiety, like if your anxiety levels are too low, you're going to be unmotivated, you're going to get yourself in trouble because you don't care enough. So anxiety is really helpful. But just like anger, sometimes we feel anxious when we don't need to. So we have to pause, think about why do we feel that way, and then evaluate what sort of action steps that we need to take. So no emotion is bad, no emotion is wrong. It's okay to feel that way. It's our actions that get us into trouble. What about sadness? Sometimes we're disappointed or we're sad because something didn't go the way we wanted it to. And sometimes we tell ourselves, oh, I should be tougher, I shouldn't be sad about this, or I'm overreacting, I should just shut it down. But the reality is, sadness is similar to anger in that it tells you something's wrong. You experienced a loss of some kind. Maybe it was a loss of expectations, like you thought something was going to play out and it didn't. Maybe it's loss of a friendship. Whatever it is, it's okay you feel sad. Go ahead and explore that. Figure out why you're feeling that way. Because again, if we stuff our emotions, if we try to shut them down and not feel a certain way, it doesn't work. We literally cannot do that. It just increases the duration, frequency, and intensity of the emotions. So don't bother trying. In fact, the more we try, the worse it gets. And then sometimes we go into avoidant behavior where we're like, oh, I don't want to feel this way. So then we do things to distract ourselves from the emotions. But a lot of times those things get us into trouble as well. So I would like you guys to go ahead and pause the video and talk through those different emotions and talk through what triggers those emotions for you, and if you feel like certain one of those emotions gets you into trouble more than others. And then I want you to talk about any avoidant behavior that you do. What kind of stuff do you do to avoid feeling a certain way? So go ahead and explore that and see if you can reflect on some times that maybe you were trying to run away from your emotions rather than face them. Okay, now what I want you to do is think about what your body does when you feel a certain way. So have you ever emotionally eaten? Say you were anxious about something and you just went to the fridge and you grabbed something to eat, but you didn't even think about it. Like, you didn't even realize you were anxious. You just kind of unconsciously did this. So a lot of people do that, where they feel something and they don't necessarily know why. So what's really important for us to do if we want to start making really good choices about our emotions, we need to be more aware of them. And part of how we get more aware of them is we recognize what our body does when we feel that way. So some people carry anxiety in their shoulders, some people in their chest or their stomach. What does your body do when you're anxious? Some people pick at their fingers, flap their hands, like, what sort of things does your body do when you feel a certain way? So go ahead and pause the video again and explore that with whoever you're with, and try to figure out if you can identify what your body does when you feel the different emotions, so that we can work on creating that awareness so you can kind of step in. Because if we can recognize in the early stages, hey, I'm starting to feel anxious right now, or I'm really starting to get frustrated, if we can pinpoint that early, then we're going to be able to do something about it and like make a much better choice. But if we let our emotions grow really big before we take the time to pause and think about it, it'll be harder to make a good choice. So we want to catch those emotions early so we can process them. Okay, go ahead and pause and then come back to me. Okay, so now I want to talk about the boundaries around emotions. Okay, say something really awful happens. Somebody punched your sister in the face. Okay, like, you have the right to be really mad if somebody punches your sister. So like, there's certain situations where it's really valid to have a really strong emotional response. So the place that we have to set boundaries is our behaviors, our response to those strong emotions. So if you are in a scenario where you're feeling something really, really strong, before you act, you have to consider the consequences of your actions. So if someone punched your sister and then you go and punch that person back, now you're equally guilty. So even though it was really valid for you to be super upset about that, it is not okay for you to punch them back. So the discussion I'd like you to have now is focused on what are scenarios you've been in where you had a really strong emotional reaction, but maybe your behavior was out of line. So I'd like you to just explore if you've been in situations like that. I think we all have. We've come home and been grumpy towards our family and kind of rude to them. That's a super common one. So it's okay you're exhausted. It's okay you feel a little grumpy. But it's not okay to treat people poorly just because you feel grumpy. So go ahead and try to brainstorm a situation like that where you have been in a situation you feel strongly and it was kind of hard to make the right choices. And brainstorm about what you could have done instead. Okay, so the last thing that I want to talk about is what you should do when you are feeling strong things and it's making it really hard. So everybody's a little bit different with how they process their emotions and what calms them down. So first of all, when you feel a certain way, I don't want you to fight it. I want you to accept it and say, it's okay that I'm feeling this way, but I need to take a few deep breaths to kind of calm myself down enough to make good choices. So some people use fidgets, like literally anything. You might see a lot of people clicking pens or fidgeting with a pen. You know, sometimes those little things are like tapping your foot. Those little tiny body movements can just kind of help regulate us. You know, a big thing that helps me when I have strong emotions is I need someone to talk to. You know, I might text a friend or I might ask my friend to meet up if it's something more serious and talk it out. That really helps me process my emotions and get in a better place. So what I'd like you to do is just explore with whoever you're with, what things work for you to process your emotions. Because we can't run from them. They won't go away, so we have to deal with them. So what works for you? Do you like journaling? Do you like drawing pictures to express your emotions? Go ahead and brainstorm that and try to figure out some strategies for yourself to work through those emotions so that they don't get you into trouble. All right, well, thank you so much for listening.